Okay, so what are we up to today? Well, we're going to refactor this project. Now, in the past, this has been one of the most frustrating things I had to learn. In my very first project, I decided I was following a Udemy tutorial, and we got to the point where the lecturer said, right, let's refactor this project. And without a thought, I didn't back up my project. I didn't have a copy of what we were doing, and we did all this refactoring. I followed along, and at the end of it, I had so many errors. It was easier to start the project again than it was to try to fathom it out. So before you try anything like this, for God's sakes, back up your project. Don't be a me and make a mess of it. Anyhow, today what we're going to do is we're going to refactor this project. So we are going to take all of this code here that's in our main form. There's no, I mean, people do projects without without refactoring. They put it all in one form. It is doable, but most people like to have this all into separate forms, and we're going to do that to it. We're literally just going to delete it out the way, and basically our project will become this. And then it's going to be, we're going to call it app, and it will be instant, and then it will be that, and it will be run app. And then down here, this will become won't become that at all. It'll become result. No, it won't become that either. It'll become return. Oh. Still can't spell. It'll become return result, and that will be all the code that is in our main form. We won't have any other code in here. We won't need all of these up here. We'll need the log because we're doing the log, and we will need we need that. We don't need any of these other ones in here. They can all go. The only other one we're going to need in here, it will be include, and then it will be up one to headers, and it will be app.h, and that is all that's going to be needed in our main form from now on. So it will literally come in here and it will call this, and everything else will be in our files that we're refactoring. So what will we need? We will need in here, we're obviously going to need that app header. So we need to come in here and we need app.h, and we're going to need in the here we're going to need also to add app cpp, and again, same as in my last thing, because of my laser fast typing skills, we are going to cheat and copy this from the GitHub repository. So app.h, we're going to take this from here. Well, we don't need to do that, we can just literally copy it there. Come into app.h, get rid of that because otherwise it will put it in there twice. And we're going to add this. So this will be our app instance. This is the run app, which will be do all of our the run part. With this will include the while loop, the main while loop, and then we'll have an app shut down to clean it all up. This just makes these have to be in there, the same as these two default, even though we don't use them for anything in this. Then in CPP we will need to do the same thing again, back to here, and like I say, before you do any of this, make sure you back up or make sure you have a copy of your original code if you're following along, otherwise you could end up like I did. We can do that back in here, and that then comes in here, and then basically all we're doing in here is we're taking in the header file, creating an instance for that, so as we can call this across various parts of the program. We're just about to set up this. This is going to be where all the Windows stuff's done, is in the Windows Manager. In fact, we'll do that next. So in here, header files, we need to add Window Manager, Window Manager .h, and we're going to need in here, we're going to need the same file but as a CPP. Window Manager. Always takes me a little bit longer because I have to make sure that I'm spelling things correctly, because I am terrible at spelling. So we can then come across into here, Window H, and we'll take all of that back into here. Oh, get rid of that pragma once, otherwise we'll have it twice. This is all fairly straightforward. There's not a great deal of change in here, other than the fact we've moved it from the main form, the setup for our window, into this Windows Manager part. Setting our screen heights so as we've got those in there. GLFW initialize, which will initialize the GLFW window. Get the handle of the window basically, and these are just some variables that are used throughout the project: the height of the window, width of the window, and title of the window. And then in here, this is basically all the code that was in, oh, not that one, in the original file, main file, but it's been taken across to here. So we'll copy that, we'll pop that into here, and basically all this is in here is we're bringing in the app header, creating an instance of our program, and then this is basically the same code that was in the original. Obviously we're going to add another class in a minute, which will be entity, as you'll see come along. Then the basic while loop that we had in the original main form now gets placed in here. The app shut down so as we can clean everything up at the end of it, and that's basically it. All we've done is we've removed the code that was in the original main form into this form. There are a few, if you go through, you will notice there are a few different bits as to how this is set up, but it is basically the code that was in the main form has now been relocated here. Anyhow, moving on, we then need to put we need one more header, which is going to be our entity header, and this is, we're going to have this purely so as we got somewhere to draw our bits and pieces. So we'll do entity dot h, and again in here we will do entity dot cpp, So then we'll come through to here, and again you'll notice with this it purely is, this is the code that was in the we'll take that from there and pop it in there. Excuse me. This is literally setting up an entity class where we will initialize shader, mesh, texture, and we'll do all that in here. And basically, again, this is the same code that was in the original main file. It's just we've now split it out into different areas of the project, so as it makes it easier when the project starts to grow to manage it all. Like I say, you can leave all this, can all be left in the this can all be left in one form, and you can just carry on doing it in one form. But when you get to a start, when a project starts to get quite large, it can become a bit of a nightmare. So again, this is the same code that we had in the initial main file. It's just that we've moved it across here now, so as we're setting up. That's not used for anything at the moment. This is the close down of the entity, just clears up the shaders and the textures. Then it jumps to clean up mesh down the bottom. This initializes the setup of the. So this is exactly the same code that was in the main form. This is exactly the same code that was in the main form. Obviously this is slightly different because this then calls this to create the now there's one thing on here that I wanted to, well, we've got this open because I was watching one of my, I do occasionally watch my videos back and see what I've done. I wanted to just here those these numbers on here, I explained all these numbers on here about what they were in the stride. Now, this first number, I didn't really make clear what that first number was to do with. That first number on there is to do with the fact that in here it's the location, the layout. So those indexes are these indexes here. So it's for the position, the color, or later on normals, and the texture coordinates. Now I don't think I explained that in my other video, what those were to do with very clearly. So just a little brief thing there. This is to clean up the mesh. We have to empty all the stuff out as we go through, and then we have a new part which was again in basically this was in the main form. This bit wasn't. We've added this bit in to be able to do it. So if we go back through there now, we should have no errors in there with that. For some reason we do. Why do we have errors in there? App H. That's because that's a typo there. That should be a capital I instant. Why is log not? That's because why have I got my log on there? What's that to do with? Oh, I know, that was one of the very early headers that we used for when we were doing one of the earlier ones. It's still in there. That actually wants taken out. That doesn't achieve anything. So we've got no errors in there. No errors in there. No errors in there. That looks quite good. I thought those green lines should have went, but they haven't. I don't know why they haven't. No errors in there. Well, I have spelt those two right, haven't I? Why haven't they vanished then? Oh, we'll probably have to do some error checking in a minute. No errors in there. and no errors in there. So theoretically, although there is a problem because for some reason those have not, I don't know why they've not, cleared, because they're there. Oh well. Quick save up and let's see. What's that to do with them? Let's just quickly look at that before. Oh, I don't think we've done anything there untoward, have we? No, probably. Let's put it in the compiler and see what we get. Like I say, again, before you do any of this, if you're following along, make sure you've got a backup of it, because otherwise, 10 errors, that's quite a few. I wouldn't expect that many. What have we got? Something in here. There's something. I've done something silly in here. What have I done? I can't see what I've done there. That's a bit silly, isn't it? Window manager, window manager, window manager, window manager. How bizarre is that? It's definitely having a funny 5 minutes there. I don't know why that's wanting that to go across. No reason why that should do that. There's definitely something wrong with that Windows Manager thing. Okay, I'm going to have to spend, because I've got no clue as to what I've done wrong there. So I'll have to come back. Okay, that was a bit of a dim mistake to make by me. I'd copied and pasted the wrong file into Windows Manager. I'd actually copied the app.cpp file in here, and then that's why it was duplicating the error from the app shutdown. So because I'd put it in twice. Anyhow, really stupid mistake to make. If we click the green button now, there we go, look, everything's refactored. So from our original main file that had all those lines of code in, we've now got a main file that this was on a t-shirt that my brother brought me, which I thought was very apt for this project, so I put it and copied and pasted it because I thought that was funny. Anyhow, that's just me. Thanks for watching if you did.